Bay Aqua Sports presents the Delano Little Show.
Welcome to the Delano Little Show. It's exclusive on BayHackleSports.com. Streaming, you gotta love it, and you gotta love our guest today. He is the UNC Charlotte Athletic Director, Mike Hill. Good to have you with us.
Thanks for having me.
Now, your predecessor, Judy Rose, has been on our show already. I don't know if you got a chance to see her episode yet. Did you get a chance to?
I have not, unfortunately, but I love Judy. She's a friend, and she did a tremendous job here for our program.
Well, first of all, you need to watch the Judy Rose.
I got you.
No, I know
I
you.
will dial in.
Hey, look, I know you got a lot of stuff going on. We're going to get to all that coming up here because it's just amazing what's going on over at UNC Charlotte. And by the way, Judy had nothing but great things to say about you, just to let you know. So.
Well, she's a wonderful person and did an incredible job building a foundation that really attracted me to this position. It's remarkable to see what she did in terms of facilities and really establishing the baseline for us to take off, and here we are.
Right, and you know, you talk about the biggest thing, and let's just talk about UNC Charlotte right now, where it is, and where we're looking forward to going, so to speak. Conference change. That's right off the bat. That's the big deal, right?
It's a huge deal. We're going to be joining the American Athletic Conference in July of 23, so we have just a year or so to get ready for that move. Frankly, you know, when I arrived here in 18, that was our number one goal, and our number one priority was to find a way, because the league just makes so much sense for us. It's a largely urban-based university conference. I think every school in the conference, except for one, is an urban-based university, and the one school that's not is East Carolina. And so now we have an in-state rival in our conference, which is tremendous. We're excited about renewing that rivalry. They've got obviously a great fan base and alumni base in Charlotte as well. I know they're looking forward to that. But also just the visibility of this conference. It's of the 10 FBS conferences in the country. You have this designation of the Autonomy Five, the SEC, ACC, Pac-12, Big Ten, and Big 12. The group of five are the other five conferences, and the American is widely regarded as the best of those five. And so there will be a sort of a competitive move up for us, and also more visibility for us in terms of where the games are seen on the ESPN family of networks, which is tremendous for our program and for our institution. So we're excited about it. Again, it's a big step up for us, but something that makes a ton of sense.
Now, and it sounds fantastic. What happens in that little bit of time before you go? You stay with Conference USA, correct?
That's right. And look, we have great relationships in that league. Commissioner Judy McLeod is a friend. She's done an amazing job. We're so grateful for them giving us a home for the last decade. When we started football here 10 years ago, we were going to play FCS level football. And I know you're a Georgia Southern guy. You remember those days,
absolutely, yes.
The Southern Conference, whatnot. And so we were going to play at that level. And of course, Georgia Southern's now in the Sun Belt and the FBS level. Well, there was realignment that occurred 10 years ago. And so Conference USA called and invited Charlotte to move up to FBS before they'd played a down of football.
Right.
And so it was a big move up, right? And so we're grateful for Conference USA for giving us that opportunity and for the relationships that we've built. We've got some great colleagues, some tremendous athletic directors and chancellors and presidents in that league, and Commissioner McLeod, and excited about our last season in that league. And so we're an 11-team league this year. 3 of the schools left early to join the Sun Belt. So Marshall and Old Dominion and Southern Miss leave to join Georgia Southern, and App State, and schools like that in the Sun Belt. And we'll have an 11-team league, which will work just fine. That's what the American Conference has right now. They have 11.
Right.
The Big Ten had 11 schools forever, if you remember when they added Penn State in the early 90s. So
it was great to be named the Big Ten
and have 11 schools, right? I mean, we all know that conference names rarely match up with the number of teams they've got anymore,
Yes.
So we're excited. It'll be a big move, and at the same time, looking forward to sort of savoring this last year and really want to compete at a high level in Conference USA in our final season.
Yes, and more changes. If you go to the campus, if you haven't been to the campus at UNC Charlotte, I would say you should go see it. I mean, I've been there a couple of times. It's a gorgeous campus, first of all, and now you're adding on to make this major-looking football stadium. I've seen pictures of it. We got exclusively the pictures. No, we didn't. We didn't.
We can say
you guys put it out, and it looks fantastic. I mean, it is top-notch looking stadium.
Thank you. Well, we're excited, and thank you for the compliment about our beautiful campus. I had the same response when I came up to interview for this job 4 years ago. I'd not been to the campus. I was blown away by it, just the sheer beauty of it, the red brick everywhere, expansive green space. So a lot of really strategic thought was put into place about how our campus looks. And to a person, when they visit it for the first time, they're stunned. So if you haven't been to our campus, I encourage you to come to our campus because it's a big league university. We're the fastest growing university in the entire UNC system, 30,500 students, second largest undergrad enrollment in the state. Just a university that's making an impact. Beyond just the sheer beauty of it, in terms of upward mobility is a huge issue in this city, in this market. Absolutely. We award currently the second largest number of degrees to Black students in the state of North Carolina, which is really impressive. We have the largest Latino population in the state of North Carolina.
Wow, did not know that.
And 40% of our students are first-generation college students. So that says a lot about what we're doing as an institution to try to impact our community and our market. And so we feel like athletics is a great way to elevate the profile and the visibility of our institution. It's just a fact. It's the front door of the university. It's the front porch, whatever analogy you want to use.
Right.
That's how people often find out and learn about institutions. And so as we continue to try and grow and build a really special athletic program, football, of course, is at the core of that. It's honestly, that's why, conferences make decisions in the end. It becomes about football and the power of football and these TV deals. And so, when we were talking to the American about this potential move, they mentioned to us the size of our stadium, which is the smallest in FBS currently.
Right.
And we committed to them that, that was because it was built to play FCS football, but it was also designed to be expanded pretty clearly. When you look at it, there's these wide open concourses.
Well, that was smart to do.
It was super smart, super strategic by Judy and Chancellor Dubois and the team. So we're excited about the plans to expand it to ultimately to 30,600 is the goal, with an intermediate phase that would get us to 21,000. And we think it's certainly reflective of the growth of our athletics program and our football program. And as we bring in teams that are going to draw more attention in our market, when ECU comes to play us, it's going to be a tough ticket.
Yes.
When we've got non-conference games scheduled with the Tar Heels and NC State, Ole Miss from the SEC. We have a big series starting up here again soon with App State. We'll have the Naval Academy coming in from the American and other great programs. We're going to need more seats. We were at or near capacity for every game last year at home, including our big win over Duke, our first ever Power 5 win. So we're excited about the vision for what our football stadium can become.
And football traditionally becomes tradition as far as the football team is concerned. Do you like what you've seen as far as that is concerned, the traditions that the team is coming up with, what your coach is coming up with?
Absolutely. Will Healy has done a phenomenal job as our head coach. In his first season, he took us to our first ever bowl game. We won 7 games, went to the Bahamas Bowl. Really a remarkable achievement. His second year was the COVID season. We barely played half our games. And then this past year, fell a little short of making a bowl just by 1 game. But, we had the big win over Duke, which was the first time we'd ever hosted a Power 5 school to have an ACC program on our campus. Duke had beaten us handily the year before. So, these are all growth steps. We've been playing football for 9 years. We're competing against schools that have been playing football for 100 years. And so we're trying to fast forward that process and catch up. And I'm really proud of the progress that we've made to see where we were 10 years ago without a football team to now getting ready to join the best group of 5 league in the country in football.
Now, football is a big deal, but you're in charge of so many different sports. Is that more than 20? 18? I was reading somewhere.
So we're at 18 currently. We just announced the addition of our 19th sport. So we have 19 sports as of the 24-25 year when we bring women's lacrosse on board.
Okay, and so you can't obviously do that. So I would imagine your staff, you have to have a great big staff that's working with all these different sports. How many people do you have, and how labor intensive is it?
Sure. So our athletic department staff is about 125 employees, which is a solid number for a program of our size and our stature. Some of the programs at the Power 5 level, in the SEC, for example, the Big Ten, they might have 3 or 4 times the amount of staff as we do.
Okay.
But I think for the number of sports that we have, we're able to get the job done. We continue to grow, and we want to continue to try to provide resources for our coaches and for our student athletes, who are ultimately why we do what we do, is to provide them the best experience that they can have. But yeah, 19 sports is ambitious, but we feel like we're up to the task, and we care about all of our sports at Charlotte. It's not just a one-sport game. It's not a one-show horse by any stretch. It's bottom line is for us, it's about excellence across the board, and we think that when you see excellence at every venue in our facility, on our campus, that has a positive impact on all of our teams.
Mm-hmm. Good deal. What's your ultimate goal? What would be your ultimate goal? I would imagine championships across the board, but to one day see a basketball title, to win the conference championship, to be in the NCAA March Madness. What do you see as what would be great for you?
Yeah, I think that we want to see all of our teams achieve greatness. We want a school record 5 conference championships this year, and ultimately that's your cohort, right? You're comparing yourself against the other programs in your league, and so we're moving from one league to another. We'll continue to use that as our benchmark. We want to be in the hunt when we're competing for conference championships, and if you're doing that, it means you're also in the hunt to be in the national tournament, in the NCAA tournament. So we have some sports that have been performing at a very high level in recent years. Certainly our track and field program has been through the roof. They won the outdoor championships and indoor championships at Conference USA this year. Our women also won the outdoor championships. Our women's basketball team won the league title this year and went to the NCAA tournament for the first time in over a decade, which was really exciting. And also our men's golf team had a great year, and they won the league and went to the NCAA tournament. Our men's soccer team is one of our premier sports in terms of their consistent excellence.
Right.
They're in the NCAA tournament every year. If they're not, something seems off. I think it's 10 of the last 11 years they've been in the tournament. They've played for a national title before.
That's great.
Just about 10, 11 years ago. So I think, we want to see all of our sports competing at a high level. You mentioned men's basketball. Men's basketball in the end is really at the core of the DNA of our fan base. Before we had football, Charlotte 49ers men's basketball really is how a lot of people became affiliated and cared about our program and our university. We have a Final Four appearance, but it was a long time ago in the late 70s. And then we had an exciting stretch there in the 90s and 2000s early on. But we're in a little bit of a drought. When I got here in 2018, the team had won 6 basketball games. They had lost 15 out of 16 and had not been to the NCAA tournament in 13 years. And so we hired Ron Sanchez, associate head coach from the University of Virginia, who was maybe the most, highly sought after assistant coach in the country to lead our program. And, he's just completed his 4th season here last year. We won 17 games, 10 games in the league. We're climbing the mountain,
right.
As Ron and I talk about a lot. We started at the bottom. We want to get to the top. There's some time in between, to get there, but we are getting there.
It takes time to turn it around, doesn't it?
It does, and I know that some people might, like to make the case that, hey, basketball, you can do it more quickly. It just takes a few players. Well, you throw in what we've dealt with COVID the last 2 years, sure, and the transfer portal the way it is now, it's a different world. It's a different time. And so we've got a fantastic man leading our basketball program, and I know he and I share the same vision. We want to compete consistently for conference championships and be a consistent suitor for an NCAA bid, and that's our ultimate goal.
Well, I wish you the best of luck moving forward as far as the athletic side of it is. We want to talk a little personal, though. You want to go personal?
Let's do it.
We'll go personal. We're going to take a quick break here on the Delano Little Show, BayHackleSports.com. It's streaming live. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Delano Little Show on BayHackleSports.com, streaming. And our special guest today is Mike Hill, the athletic director at UNC Charlotte. And you've been there, said, for 4 years now. And you put together a lot of good things and a lot of good things you're looking forward to. Let's talk your personal life a little bit, though, because it's very interesting. Because when I think of Clemson, when somebody says something about Clemson, you don't think of it as a town that people actually grew up in. You think of it as just football town. That's what you actually grew up in Clemson, South Carolina.
I did, and there are not many of us who did that, right? It's a small town. My father was an English professor at Clemson. My mother, a school teacher, and it was a great life as a kid growing up. But, again, growing up, Lake Hartwell, beautiful setting, if you grow up there, you're going to be a Tigers fan for sure. And so I went to everything. I mean, football, basketball, baseball, wrestling, soccer, all of it. I loved all of it. I used to work the football games as a kid. I was 10 years old out there selling game programs in the parking lots.
Wow.
And then in high school, I used to roam the parking lots and paint tiger paws on people's faces, and I'd make $100 a game. Then I'd go to the game. So Clemson, will always remain in me just because it was where I fell in love with college athletics.
Well, my mother has always said that if you watch a child closely, you can kind of tell at an early age what they are going to end up doing. She used to say, when we go on trips, I'd always be like, over there to the left is the McDonald's sign. Look at the M and T. And I would describe everything, and I ended up being a sportscaster. And it seems like it was perfect for you. What you do now relates to what you did as a kid.
It really was. I feel very fortunate and blessed to have really found what I feel was my calling at an early age. Really, from the time I was probably in junior high school, I knew I wanted to have a role in college athletics. As I went on to get my college degree, more and more I focused on wanting to be an athletics director one day. So, not everybody figures it out at that age, and sometimes it takes a lot longer as a college student even to figure that out. But for me, it was definitely my passion, and it remains my passion.
Well, for people that are out there and probably look around and say, that's a cool job, I would love to do that, for the youngsters out there, give them a little bit of a path of how you became to be where you are today. Well,
everybody's journey is different. For me, I was fortunate, again, to have identified that I wanted to work in athletics. And so when I went to college, I attended Chapel Hill. The first thing that I did is I went to the athletic department and tried to get a job, any job. And the first year I was there as a freshman, they turned me down. I applied for a job in their sports information office. I came back the next year, that fall, applied for a job. They turned me down again. I came back in December, and they're like, "We got to hire this guy because he will not leave us alone." So,
that's perfect right there, right? You got to stick to it, right?
You do, because you're guaranteed not to get the job if you give up on it.
Right.
And so, I pursued it and worked really, really hard in that role for 2.5 years. I worked 30 hours a week as a student. You couldn't get me out of the Smith Center. I loved it, just being around it, being in it. And so from there, I had some internships, including one that was right here in Charlotte, which was an awesome experience at Raycom Sports. And I got to work with some amazing people who ultimately decided to hire me as soon as I graduated. My first job was down in South Florida at a Raycom-owned event. It was a bowl game. Wow. Down there at the time was the Dolphins' brand new stadium. It's not so brand new anymore. It's been renovated a few times. But I worked there for 2 years at the Blockbuster Bowl. Then spent 1 year after that. I left to get back on a campus because I knew ultimately I wanted to be on a campus. Went to Indiana, out of my comfort zone, went to Ball State University, had a tremendous experience there as an administrative assistant to the athletics director. And then there was a marketing opening at the University of Florida the following year, entry level, and I pursued it and was fortunate enough to get the job. And I stayed there for 24 years. And that's a long time for someone who's early in their career to stay that long. It's not typical. Much like coaches, you often have to bounce around, to find new opportunities for growth. But I had opportunities at Florida that continued to come my way to grow as a professional. And so that was my path before I got here to Charlotte, and I have never looked back. This has been an amazing move for me and my family. We love it here. We love the university. We always look back at our time at Florida fondly, but this was the right move.
Can I interrupt just quickly? I do not look back at my time at Florida. We actually played Florida at Georgia Southern my third year in 1984. And we played, it was our first real big football game. I mean, we ended up winning 2 national championships in FCS before I left there. But that year, that was our kind of coming out party to show what we could do against a big team like Florida. So we're down there in the swamp, and it starts to rain right when the game starts. I mean, it's coming down.
Sounds like the swamp.
Yeah, and they don't let you have those umbrellas. They just throw those little ponchos on, and that's just kind of intimidating in itself that nobody cared it was raining that hard. And I got a pass over the middle right there on our first drive, and I went up and it went right through my hands, and I was hyperventilating the whole play. It took me like 2 plays to get over playing in front of those many fans. I mean, the fan base there was just amazing back then. It's kind of wavered a little bit since then, correct?
Well, no, the fans there are still tremendous. Since that time, the stadium has expanded. There's 90,000 fans there now, and they love their Gator football for sure. It's an incredible environment. Of course, the SEC is an incredible home for many, many great college football environments. But the time at Florida, I was a part of around 3 football national championships, 7 SEC titles, and some just incredible football games. Seeing some of the all-time greats play, Tim Tebow, Percy Harvin, Danny Werfel, Heisman Trophy winners. It was a really special time.
Chris Leak, was Chris Leak along?
Chris Leak, yes, Chris Leak. Can't leave Chris out. National championship quarterback as well. So just some great, athletes and coaches. Olympic coaches, national championship coaches. Billy Donovan, the basketball program I worked with very, very closely for a long time as well. So those experiences at Florida taught me a lot of lessons. And for people who are looking to get into the business, or younger people maybe in high school or college, the first thing I would say is that they see the glamorous side of it, but it's a lot of work. You have to have great passion for this profession because games are played on weeknights and weekends, and so you work all day. And then you're at games at night, and people say, well, how hard can it be? You're just sitting there watching a game, right? No, we're not just sitting there watching the game. You're running an event. When you're hosting thousands of people, there's work to be done, right? And so you have to have a passion for it. There's a high level of burnout in our profession because it is such a 24/7 type of deal. And there's really only about 1 month in the year now where there aren't events, and that's July, right. And so July, people try to scramble and take some time off, but you're also using that time to plan and prepare for the upcoming year. So, but I wouldn't trade it for the world. I love what I do. It's an incredible profession for sure to impact the lives of our student athletes and also to try to bring some joy for the constituents for our university who love the program so much.
Yeah. Well, I know your loyalty is to UNC Charlotte 49ers, but you grew up in Clemson. You went to UNC, Chapel Hill. When those teams play, how do you deal with that? What do you say?
Well, look, it's fun to be able to watch, teams that you have some connection with. In the end, it's hard to invest a lot more emotional energy than what I invest in the 49ers. My
Absolutely.
Wife and I talk about this all the time. She's a Florida graduate, my wife Jessica, and we both worked at the University of Florida for a long time. So we still love the Gators. We still pull for the Gators, but you can only invest so much, right, between all the events that we have here and what matters the most to us are the relationships that we have here, with our student athletes and our teams in the present. It doesn't mean we don't love our Gator family or miss them, and certainly Clemson and my alma mater, I want to see them have success. And I know a lot of Niner fans don't want to hear that because they don't like the Tar Heels. I get it. Right. That's why we don't talk about it much. but for me, it's all about the Niners, and that's what it has to be. And we're so invested in that. But look, I was there to see both of Clemson's football national championships recently, and that was really special to be able to see those in person. I will always pull for them. That's my hometown, and will forever have some orange blood inside of me. And then the Gators, I love the Gators. They gave me my chance. In 24 years, I kind of grew up and became a person, in Gainesville. Yes. So some really special moments.
And that's good that you can take all the knowledge from there and apply it to what you do at UNC Charlotte. Because, one of the biggest things, and Judy mentioned this when she was on the show, she talked about what you already kind of alluded to. You're not only, like you're saying, going to games and being a spectator too, you're actually fundraising. And I know fundraising is a big part of what you all do. How are you doing with that, and where can you go with that?
So fundraising is critical to the success of the program. And look, I've never been around a better fundraiser than Judy. The facilities that we have on our campus currently, she raised the bulk of those dollars to build our athletics facilities. So she's a tremendous asset to the institution and remains so. I keep her engaged because she's really good at what she does, and she has meaningful relationships in this community that are valuable to our program. But we've had tremendous success in fundraising over the last 4 years. We've set annual fundraising records each of the last 4 years. We're going to do it again this year. We're going to top out at over $2 million in the annual fund this year. Just to give you some perspective, when I arrived here 4 years ago, we were at 1.3. So you can see there's been a big jump here in the last 4 years. We're currently obviously focused a lot on our facility master vision, the Evergreen Plan, which is going to give us a chance to go fund $102 million worth of projects, and a lot of work to be done there. We ultimately will announce a campaign related to that. We're not quite ready to do that yet, but we are already beginning, we've already begun fundraising efforts and have already funded some of our projects that are in phase one. So fundraising never ends. It's a part of what we do because look, we're not going to go raise student fees. We're not going to get state funding for the things that we need to get done. We're an auxiliary of the institution. We've got to go raise the money.
Well, I know fundraising is tough, and what you do is tough. What do you do for fun?
So I'm a big family guy. I love being around my family. I've got a son who's actually a sophomore at the University of Florida, and then I've got two little ones, a 3-year-old daughter and an 11-month, soon-to-be 11-month-old son here in Charlotte with us, my wife. So we don't have a lot of free time. I mean, most of my time is spent, either at home or at Niners athletic events.
Right.
When I can squeeze in some other events, I like to do that. I'm a big Hornets and Panthers fan, and I love Charlotte FC and the Knights. I've had a chance to get out to see a couple of FC matches, a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And then I love the mountains, man. If I can get away to, we've got a home in Blowing Rock that I actually purchased 9 years ago when I was still at Florida, when I could try to get away and beat the heat. And the way it is in Charlotte this week, I still want to try to beat the heat and get up to the mountains of Blowing Rock and spend some time up there and relax. I like to run and try to stay as fit as I can. Time is short, with all the responsibilities we have, but I definitely like to work out and try to stay as in good a shape as I can. And I like to cook. I'm happy around the big green egg. I'm happy around a grill anytime I can do that. So those are the things I like to do to spend my time, as well as also attend live music events. I'm a huge concerts guy.
Gotcha.
So if I can go to live music, man, I know you appreciate that.
Yes.
That's a big deal. So I'm happy the world is opening up again. I just saw the Avett Brothers recently at the Fillmore, which was a lot of fun. That's my favorite band.
Gotcha.
Looking forward to seeing some other groups here at PNC and some of the other venues at Spectrum here in the coming year.
Mike Hill, thank you so much for taking time to spend with us. I know you're a busy person, and we wish you the best of luck moving forward. And it was a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you so much, Delano. I appreciate this. This has been a great visit.
Well, that's all the time we have for the Delano Little Show for this week. We hope to see you again soon.